Some people say praying for long doesn't matter. Others say praying in tongues is just empty babbling. It has no benefit. But the testimony I'm about to tell you disapproves all of those beliefs and ideologies. 12 years ago, I gave my life to Jesus. That was the beginning of my journey of prayer. Prior to that, I was praying. But because I was raised in a Catholic church, I wasn't praying as much. The prayers I used to make, they were very few, and they were actually just written prayers that we would say. But after I gave my life to Jesus, I got this hunger to pray more and more. And though at that time I was not baptized with the gift of praying in tongues, I was striving to pray for as long as I could. I was in school and I had a number of my friends in the Christian Union, and we would pray together and try to prolong our prayers as much as we could. That went on for 4 years until when I finally received the gift of praying in tongues. By the time I received the gift of praying in tongues, I was already praying in understanding for about an hour. I had already started seeing the benefits of praying for long. And so by the time I received the gift of praying in tongues, it was only coming to accelerate what I had already begun. After receiving the gift of praying in tongues, I continued praying for long. But then there was something that was frustrating me. I realized that when I pray in tongues for long, I would go into a period whereby I would feel like not praying at all. And I could not really understand why that was happening. Sometimes I would attend night vigils, and in those night vigils, we would pray in tongues the whole night. And so after that night, I would go for almost like 2 days without really having an urge to pray. And I would wonder, why is it that after I pray for a long time in tongues, I lose the urge to pray again? That was until one day the pastor that I was under taught us something called capacity. Basically, what he explained to us was that in the spirit, people have capacity. Now, your capacity determines how much power you can hold. When you pray in tongues, you are actually attracting the power of God into your life. And so what happens is that God will deposit his power in you according to your capacity. And so once your capacity is full, automatically the desire to pray will drop down. And that will mean that you cannot pray anymore because you are completely full. And so the pastor explained to us that if we want to pray in tongues for longer, we have to expand our capacity. But then I had a question. How do I expand my capacity? And that is when the Lord revealed to me the secret to expand my capacity. And that was to sacrifice. So basically, sacrifices expand us. Sacrifices stretch us. And when they stretch us in the spirit, we grow and become bigger. And because we become bigger, there is more space for God to fill us with his power. And that space automatically creates a vacuum. And that vacuum automatically creates in us a hunger to pray to God to come and fill up that new space that we have created. And that is exactly what happened a few days ago. I had been praying in tongues for 1 hour every day, consistently, for a number of years. And though that may seem like a lot of time for some people, to me it had gotten to a point where it was very normal for me to just pray for 1 hour of tongues every day. But recently, I embarked on a prayer and fasting week. And in this prayer and fasting week, I chose to stretch my time of prayer to 8 hours long. On the first day of praying, I found it very, very difficult to pray in tongues for those 8 hours. But I dragged myself through all those 8 hours and I completed them successfully. On the second day, I was a little bit tired from the first day and the amount of effort I had put into actually praying in tongues for 8 hours. But again, on the second day, I pushed myself and I managed to complete the second 8 hours. But then on the third day, things completely changed. On the third day, when I began praying, the prayers were just flowing. I could just feel so much grace around me to pray, and my heart was just bubbling with tongues. And even I found it difficult to stop myself from praying because these tongues were just flowing like a river. Then came the fourth day. On the fourth day, I had a bit of struggle again, but by that time, I had already mastered praying in tongues for long. And on that day, I still managed to do 8 hours, but it wasn't as easy as it had been on the third day. On the fifth day, I went through the 8 hours without a hitch. But then after the 5th day, I had a concern because previously, after every other stretch of praying in tongues I had conducted, I would have days when I would feel like not praying at all. I would feel I'm completely full and I just want to take a break from praying and indulging in the things of God. But this time, things were completely different. After I completed that day of fasting, the 5th day, the hunger and the desire to pray just persisted. And even the following day, I also prayed in tongues. And unlike what I was doing before, where I was praying for 1 hour a day, this time, praying for 1 hour felt like a breeze. And I just felt like it has passed away even without my knowledge. And so that prompted me to just continue praying. So though I had come from 40 hours of praying in tongues in 5 days, I still had a hunger to pray in tongues even after the fast had come to an end. And to this day, as I speak to you, I still have that hunger. And the hours that I used to pray in tongues have now increased. From the 1 hour that I used to do, right now I'm comfortably doing 3 hours a day. And actually sometimes I feel the 3 hours are not enough. And so this is a huge testimony for me that God has enabled me to pray for this long and has even given me the grace to pray for these many hours without getting tired. Therefore, if you are there and you are also struggling to pray in tongues for long, realize that you need to increase your capacity. And to increase your capacity, you need to take a sacrifice. A sacrifice is going to come in the form of praying and fasting. And the more you pray and fast and stretch yourself, the bigger you'll become. And as you increase, the Lord will fill you up more with power as you pray in tongues. And your hunger to pray in tongues will never be satisfied. God bless you.